thing that makes you feel different from everyone else is the absence of something society assumes you must have. What if you're not broken, not repressed, and not in denial, just different? Today, we're diving into a topic that's often misunderstood, overlooked, or dismissed: asexuality. In a world that constantly pushes us toward romantic love and sexual attraction, what does it mean to live a life outside of that script? Welcome to our latest episode, Living Asexually: Identity, Relationships, and Finding Belonging. Asexuality, often abbreviated as ACE, is a legitimate sexual orientation. It's the experience of not feeling sexual attraction, and for some, not wanting sexual relationships at all. But like every identity on the LGBTQA+ spectrum, it's more than a definition. It's a way of moving through the world. It's a truth quietly carried by millions, many of whom are still searching for representation, for community, and for self-understanding. Being asexual doesn't mean being alone. It doesn't mean being cold or emotionally distant or incapable of connection. And yet, because mainstream culture is saturated with sex, romance, and the idea that fulfillment only comes through those lenses, asexual people are often made to feel alien in their own lives. I thought something was wrong with me. I forced myself into relationships just to feel normal. I didn't even know asexuality existed until my 20s. I can love. I do love. But I'm just not wired the way the world expects me to be. Today's episode is about shedding light on what it means to live asexual, without shame, without stereotypes, and without compromise. We'll explore the rich diversity within the ace community, because just like every other identity, asexuality isn't a one-size-fits-all experience. Some people are aromantic. Some crave companionship but not sex. Others might be sex positive but don't feel attraction. Some are fluid. Some are questioning. And all of them are valid. We'll also take a look at how asexual people navigate friendships, families, partnerships, and society at large. What does dating look like without sexual attraction? Can an ace person have a fulfilling marriage? How do you come out when most people don't even know what asexuality is? Whether you're ace yourself, think you might be, or are just here to learn, this conversation is for you. It's about identity, yes, but it's also about freedom. The freedom to define love on your own terms. The freedom to exist without apology. The freedom to belong, even if you don't fit the mold. So take a breath. Let go of what you think you know about attraction, relationships, and fulfillment. Because today, we're going beyond the binary of sexual versus not, and opening up a more honest, more inclusive conversation about what it truly means to be asexual in a hypersexual world. Let's begin. Asexuality is a valid sexual orientation, not a deficiency. In a world where sex and romance are often portrayed as essential elements of the human experience, identifying as asexual can feel like being left out of a conversation that everyone else seems to understand. But asexuality, defined as the lack of sexual attraction toward others, is a valid and natural sexual orientation. It is not a disorder, not a result of trauma, and certainly not a problem that needs to be fixed. Understanding this truth is essential not just for those who identify as asexual, but also for society at large to embrace the full diversity of human experience. Asexuality is part of the broader spectrum of sexual orientations. Just as some people are straight, gay, bisexual, or pansexual, some people are asexual. They simply do not experience sexual attraction. This does not mean they are incapable of love, relationships, or emotional intimacy, nor does it mean that they live unhappy or incomplete lives. Asexual people may pursue romantic relationships, strong friendships, or choose solitude, and all of these paths can be equally fulfilling. Unfortunately, many people misunderstand asexuality due to deep-rooted societal assumptions. We live in a culture that equates sexuality with normalcy and success. From advertising and media to peer pressure and relationship expectations, the message is clear: to be human is to be sexual. This cultural bias often leads to asexual individuals being pathologized or dismissed. They're told they just haven't met the right person, or must have trauma, or that they're simply repressed. These assumptions not only ignore the science and lived experiences of asexual people, but also contribute to a harmful stigma that can lead to isolation and self-doubt. But the reality is that asexuality is not a lack. It's simply a different way of being. Research and advocacy have shown that asexuality is not linked to mental health issues or physical dysfunction. Instead, it is a stable and consistent identity for many people around the world. Asexual people may still experience attraction in other forms, romantic, aesthetic, emotional, or may identify with other aspects of the asexual spectrum, such as being demisexual, attracted only after deep emotional connection, or gray asexual, experiencing sexual attraction rarely or under specific conditions. Recognizing asexuality as valid allows individuals to understand themselves more clearly and to live authentically. It also challenges society to reconsider what makes a life meaningful. Do we truly believe that sexuality is the only path to connection, fulfillment, or love? Or can we begin to embrace a more inclusive vision of humanity, one where every person, regardless of sexual orientation, is seen and valued? In the end, asexuality reminds us that diversity is not a flaw, but a strength. It teaches us that there are many ways to be whole, many ways to connect, and many ways to live a life of meaning. The asexual spectrum is diverse and personal. When people first hear the term asexual, many assume it refers to a single, rigid identity, someone who experiences no sexual attraction whatsoever. But the reality is far more nuanced. The asexual experience is not a fixed point on a line, it's a vibrant, evolving spectrum that reflects a wide range of identities, desires, and experiences. Just like any other orientation, asexuality is deeply personal, and its expression varies from person to person. The term asexual typically refers to individuals who experience little to no sexual attraction. But this definition alone does not capture the full diversity within the ace community. Some people on the spectrum may experience attraction under specific circumstances or rarely, while others may not feel it at all. This has given rise to identities like gray asexual or grays, people who experience sexual attraction infrequently or under limited conditions, and demisexuals, who may only feel attraction after forming a strong emotional bond. These terms help individuals find language that resonates with their lived experiences and emotions, offering clarity and belonging in a society that often doesn't reflect their reality. What makes the asexual spectrum truly personal is how people relate to their own needs, values, and relationships. One person might be sex repulsed, meaning they feel discomfort or aversion towards sex, while another might be sex positive, open to intimacy even without feeling attraction themselves. Some asexual individuals may seek romantic relationships, others may identify as aromantic and not feel romantic attraction at all. Still, others fall somewhere in between, enjoying close companionships or queer platonic relationships, deep, committed bonds that defy traditional romantic or sexual expectations. This diversity doesn't create division. It emphasizes the freedom of self-expression. No one has to conform to a single model of what it means to be ace. Instead, people are encouraged to define their own boundaries, desires, and relationship styles. And that's what makes the asexual spectrum so powerful. It's a celebration of self-knowledge, not a restriction. Understanding this spectrum also helps dismantle damaging myths. Asexuality is not caused by trauma, fear, or immaturity. It's not a phase, nor is it a rebellion against societal norms. Rather, it's a deeply rooted orientation that simply doesn't align with the dominant narratives of sexual and romantic fulfillment. Recognizing this helps others move away from judgment or confusion and toward empathy and respect. In a world where sexual attraction is often treated as universal and necessary for happiness, those who identify on the asexual spectrum remind us of something beautiful, that there are many ways to be whole. Asexual people can have meaningful, fulfilling relationships. In a world where romantic comedies, love songs, and advertising constantly reinforce the idea that sex is the ultimate expression of love and connection, it can be hard to imagine a fulfilling relationship without it. But for asexual people, those who experience little or no sexual attraction, deep, meaningful relationships are not only possible, they are beautifully real. The common belief that relationships require sex to be valid is a myth built by a society that has long failed to acknowledge the rich spectrum of human intimacy. Asexual individuals are living proof that love, connection, and fulfillment come in many different forms. Asexual people, or aces, are often met with skepticism when they speak about love. Questions like, how can you be in a relationship if you don't want sex, reveal a narrow understanding of intimacy. But intimacy is not one-dimensional. It can be emotional, intellectual, spiritual, and physical in ways that don't involve sex at all. Many aces form powerful bonds with partners, friends, and chosen family based on mutual respect, shared values, and deep affection. These relationships are not lacking, they are simply different from the mainstream narrative. It's important to understand that being asexual doesn't mean a person is incapable of love. In fact, many aces identify as romantic, experiencing romantic attraction and desiring romantic partnerships. They may want to cuddle, hold hands, live with someone, raise a family, or build a life with a partner, just without the element of sexual activity. Even among those who are aromantic, experiencing little or no romantic attraction, the desire for close connection is often present. Strong platonic relationships, queer platonic partnerships, or deeply committed friendships can provide the same level of joy and support as traditional romantic ones. Consent and communication are central to asexual relationships. Since society rarely provides a model for non-sexual partnerships, asexual individuals often have to navigate relationships intentionally and thoughtfully. This means discussing boundaries, desires, and expectations clearly and early. And because these conversations are rooted in respect and mutual understanding, ace relationships can be especially strong and emotionally honest. Some asexual people also engage in sexual activity for various reasons, perhaps to connect with a partner who has different needs, or because they are sex neutral or sex positive. These decisions, when made consensually and without pressure, can still be part of fulfilling relationships. What matters most is that the relationship honors the identities and comfort levels of everyone involved. Ultimately, love is not defined by sex. It is defined by connection, trust, care, and the willingness to show up for someone as your full self. Asexual people are just as capable of giving and receiving love as anyone else. Visibility and allyship help normalize asexual identities. In a world where love stories, dating apps, and sexual attraction dominate popular culture, asexual identities often remain invisible, misrepresented, or misunderstood. Asexuality, defined as the experience of little to no sexual attraction, exists on a spectrum and includes a rich diversity of experiences. However, a lack of awareness and persistent stereotypes continue to marginalize asexual individuals. This is why visibility and allyship are essential, not only for validating the lived experiences of ace people, but also for challenging societal norms that assume everyone must want sex or romantic relationships to be whole. Visibility is the first crucial step toward normalization. When people see asexuality reflected in books, films, social media, and public discourse, it affirms that their identity is real and deserving of recognition. Representation allows asexual individuals to name their experience, find community, and escape the painful isolation that comes from feeling broken or different. It also educates the broader public, helping to dismantle myths such as asexuals are just celibate, they haven't found the right person, or they're cold and incapable of love. The presence of openly asexual people in media and activism serves as a mirror for those questioning and a beacon for those who've never heard the term asexual at all. But visibility alone isn't enough. Without allyship, asexual voices can be drowned out or misinterpreted by dominant narratives. True allyship involves more than passive support. It requires active listening, learning, and using one's platform to amplify ace experiences. Allies help by challenging asephobic language, correcting misinformation, and respecting asexual boundaries in conversations about relationships or intimacy. They help create inclusive environments where people can express their identity without fear of ridicule, dismissal, or pressure to conform. Allyship is also about validating relationships that don't fit traditional romantic or sexual molds. For example, ace people might form queer platonic partnerships, deep, committed relationships that are neither sexual nor romantic. These connections deserve the same respect as any other, and allies can help normalize such bonds by acknowledging their value and refusing to place sexual or romantic partnerships on a higher pedestal. Schools, workplaces, healthcare providers, and LGBTQ+ spaces must also become more aware of asexuality. Asexual inclusive sex education, mental health support, and community-building efforts are crucial for ensuring that ace people are not left out of conversations about identity, wellness, or equality. Allies within these systems can help push for policies and language that reflect the full diversity of human experiences. In the end, visibility and allyship work hand in hand to build a world where asexual people are not only recognized but celebrated. Coming out and finding community are important steps toward belonging. Coming out is more than just saying words out loud. It's an act of self-recognition, vulnerability, and courage. For many people, especially those who identify as LGBTQA+, coming out is a deeply personal journey that can be filled with uncertainty, fear, and emotional weight. Yet, it is also one of the most powerful steps towards self-acceptance and finding true belonging. This is particularly true for asexual individuals who often grow up feeling isolated not just from mainstream expectations, but even from broader queer communities where sexual desire is often assumed. For someone who identifies as asexual, coming out can be complicated. Unlike other orientations, asexuality challenges deeply ingrained societal assumptions about sex being a universal experience. Because of this, many asexual people spend years questioning themselves, wondering if something is wrong, if they're broken, or if they're simply late bloomers. Without representation or common language around asexuality, it can take longer for people to even discover that their identity exists. The moment they learn the word asexual can feel like a key turning in a lock. It offers clarity, relief, and most importantly, language for something they've felt all along. However, coming out is rarely a one-time event. It's a process that may have to be repeated in different settings, with friends, family, partners, or even healthcare providers. Responses can vary. Some may be supportive, others dismissive or confused. The idea that someone might not experience sexual attraction can challenge people's basic understanding of relationships and intimacy. But even in the face of misunderstanding, coming out is a reclaiming of identity. It says, "This is who I am. I exist. I am valid." Equally vital to the process of coming out is the step of finding community. Isolation is one of the most common struggles for asexual individuals, especially if they feel they don't fit into the traditional narratives of love or desire. That's why community, whether virtual or in person, can be life-changing. Online forums, social media groups, local pride events, or ace-specific meetups offer spaces where people can connect, share stories, ask questions, and simply be understood without having to explain or defend themselves. Community provides more than just social interaction. It offers affirmation. Seeing others who share your experience confirms that you're not alone or abnormal. You realize there are people who understand your joy, your pain, and your need for connection in ways that resonate with your identity. Community also helps amplify visibility, promotes advocacy, and ensures that ace voices are included in larger conversations around gender, love, and equality. In the end, coming out and finding community are not just personal milestones. They're acts of empowerment. They affirm the right to exist authentically and to be seen. So, where does that leave us? If there's one thing we hope you take away from this episode, it's this. Asexuality is not a limitation. It's a valid identity, full of complexity, joy, and humanity. Living asexual doesn't mean living less. It doesn't mean your life lacks depth, love, or connection. In fact, many ace people lead rich, fulfilling lives with strong friendships, deep romantic bonds, and communities that embrace who they are completely. But getting to that place of peace and belonging isn't always easy. For many, coming out as ace feels like swimming against the current. It challenges everything from mainstream media to family expectations to your own internalized doubts. You may be told you're just a late bloomer, that you haven't met the right person, or that you're just scared. But here's the truth: your experience is real, and it matters. Asexuality is not something to fix. It's not something to cure. It's something to understand, to accept, and to celebrate. And if you're watching this and thinking, that sounds like me, you are not alone. The ACE community exists, both online and offline. There are forums, books, support groups, memes, art, zines, and pride parades just for you. Your voice, your story, and your comfort in your own skin, they all have space here. And for allies, we need you too. Listening, learning, and unlearning assumptions goes a long way. Normalize asking what kind of relationships people want instead of assuming it's romantic or sexual. Respect when someone says, "I'm ace," without needing them to prove or explain themselves. And most importantly, validate that different doesn't mean lesser. Love comes in many forms. So does connection. And identity? It's deeply personal, but never shameful. Living asexually might not look like what the world expects, but maybe, just maybe, that's exactly why it's so powerful. Because when you stop trying to fit into boxes that weren't made for you, you start living more honestly, more fully, more you. So whether you're ace, questioning, or simply curious, we see you. Your identity is valid. Your relationships are real. And your belonging? It doesn't require permission. It already exists. Thank you for joining us in this journey. If this episode helped you feel seen, please like, share, and subscribe. Someone else out there might need this message too. And if you have your own story of living asexual, we invite you to share it in the comments below, because visibility starts with voice. And your voice could be the one that lights the way for someone else. Until next time, remember, you're enough.